Listeners, thank you for joining me on What Really Matters. Coming up is one of the toughest interviews I've ever had to do. As you know, each week I talk about fiscal conservatism, social and environmental justice. Yet here in the Bay Area, the specter of religious intolerance has reared its ugly head. The Islamic Center for the East Bay in Antioch was gutted by an arsonist on August the 12th. This latest attack continues a pattern of attacks that has occurred over the last 2+ years. And as you'll hear from Mohammad Chaudhry, who is the president of the Islamic Center of the East Bay, this attack was unprovoked. In addition, it was aimed at a congregation and a community that has made significant contributions to the Bay Area. You know, many of the 8 million Muslims in America left their countries seeking religious freedom and tolerance. And this very group has been met with the exact opposite. It's sort of ironic because that's what our founding fathers came here for: religious freedom, tolerance. What is needed here is a bit of understanding and a good deal of dialogue. Listening to Muhammad, you will hear what a true Muslim and what each of us wants and believes in: peace. Enjoy the interview. You know, every week, listeners, we talk about the same values: fiscal conservatism, social and environmental justice. That message does not change. Unfortunately, though, I need to stress the part of social justice. On August 12th, the Islamic Center for the East Bay in Antioch was burned down. Joining us today, Mohammad Chaudhry is the president of the Islamic Center. I'm pleased to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
In your words, what's going on?
Things are not going on very well as far as we are concerned. I would not say that this is a general pattern. It has been sporadic in the sense that it's only for the last 3 or 4 years that we got a surge in the change of the congenial, kindly atmosphere that we enjoyed there at that place in the last 8 years that we had been there.
Yeah, so you've been there 8 years and the atmosphere really has changed in the last 3 or 4.
Not even after 9/11.
Yes.
When we feared most. To be very honest, we never got any threatening calls or other messages conveyed through physical instruments, but we were very happy in the sense that people have better understanding what's going on, and that people understand that the 9/11 tragedy, behind which, as it is alleged and as it is confirmed now, were some fanatics who had, in our view, hijacked our religion and were using it as a tool to put all the force that religion can put in by abusing it. But they had their own agenda. Religion got nothing to do with that. First we got some messages left on our voicemail. Then we had some stones breaking
your front
that
windows.
Broke our front windows. And then the serious things happened in the sense that we got 8 bullets shot, and luckily at that time the building was vacant, nobody was inside. That scary scenario was duly reported like we did all the previous ones, and the police chief came, and this time we enrolled even the FBI.
Yes.
And they were very nice, kind people. So they also promised that they would look good. And they in fact talked. Then I arranged a meeting of the community because the community was really now getting scared. As you know, we are educated, peaceful people, every inch an American. And by comparison, I say this in a sense of pride and accomplishment, that the Muslim community, as far as I'm concerned, that is associated with our center, is highly consistent of highly professionally trained people. Every 4th or 5th family has a doctor in its own family. There are 3-4 engineers in every family. So we make tangible contribution to the American, because I call ourselves the dream chasers, you know. We came, we left our good jobs there. We came for education here, and we came to realize our own dreams like freedom,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And now it all of a sudden the whole thing changed after 9/11. Like I said, not quickly but gradually.
Yes.
You know, some pundits, you know, who claim that they understand the religion of Islam more than the Muslim themselves. You know, like we have to learn from them. And since they have access to the media, so they keep on bashing Islam, bashing Muslims, as if it, you know, it were a kind of a social sport now, you know. You play a game, so you keep on doing. But what little they understand is that this goes against the very essence of what America stands for.
I'd agree, listeners. If you look at what we were based on as a founding fathers, we came here to avoid religious persecution and to pursue freedom. This group has done the exact same thing, yet now they're facing persecution. And yes, this is being investigated as an arson. It clearly is arson. But you think about it, over the last 2 years, the center has been targeted. One can't help but wonder if racism and bigotry is rearing its ugly head here. And I have to agree with what Mohammad said. One could judge financial advisors by looking at, say, Boiler Room or Wall Street, media's perceptions of us, but I certainly would not want to be judged by the fanatical few that are portrayed in those films, no more so than you want to portray Islam by just a radical few. I really think you need to understand what Islam is about. And to that end, Mohammed, could you speak to the 5 pillars of Islam?
Normally, you know, when we talk about Islam, we start with 5 pillars, and that's the easy way.
Okay.
But total essence of Islam is much more than those 5 pillars.
Okay,
but to
tell us.
start with, the very first thing is what we call the acknowledgement of the oneness of God. We call Allah, but it's the same God.
Mhm.
And in our 5 daily prayers, you know,
Yes.
one of the attributes of God is that He is Rabbul Alameen. That is, He is the Rabb, or He is the God of the universe.
Yes.
So some people tend to think, oh, Muslims, God has commissioned Muslims to go out and kill others. Like God has no other job but to pick Muslims, you know, and commission them.
To go out and
So
make war.
a very famous syndicated columnist, you know,
Mhm.
he wrote that column,
Uh-huh.
and he mentioned that.
Incredible.
That the Christians or anybody else God is very graceful and he is very benevolent, but Muslims God looks like has assigned them this task to go out and so I want to make this point very clear that Muslims God is Abraham's God, Muslims God is Moses God, Muslims God is Jesus God, and in fact Moses is the most mentioned name in our holy scripture, that is the Quran, some 137 to 140 times.
And there's even a chapter in the Quran on Mary, correct?
On Mary,
Yes.
the only person mentioned by name is who earns the title of a surah. There are 114 surahs in the Quran. So one surah is titled as Mary, you know, and woman. Imagine. Then we also hear this kind of stuff. Oh, this is a clash of civilizations. This is a clash between the 7th century and the 21st century. This is a clash between the East and the West. This is something that here on this planet we have people named Muslims who are jealous of our freedom, who are jealous of our human rights. We as practicing Muslims laugh. But as Rachel, that wonderful girl who was the first one to die at Columbine School, she wrote in her diary that your input determines your output.
Yes.
Whatever you sow, you reap the same. You sow hatred,
Hatred.
you will reap violence.
Exactly. You sow hatred, you reap violence.
So this is very important
Yes.
for these media pundits, what they talk about. This is not what even any true Christian, any man who is true to his own or to her own religion,
Yes.
he will never talk like that. So Islamic Center that got burnt had been a victim of this kind of spoon feeding that is consistently being carried out.
Listeners, we'll be right back.